This week's best MMA bets for Bellator 268 and UFC Vegas 40. Full betting breakdown for both of those events. We'll finish it off with a cross parlay as well. Looking forward to all of it. Smash that like button. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Turn on those post notifications. I need at least 110 likes on this week's best MMA bets. But let's get right into it. The locks of the night. First, we will talk about the UFC locks of the night. Lock number one for me, Rasman Emeev. I like him to win the bout. He's a minus 278 favorite, so the odds are a bit widespread. Potential prop bets in there, and definitely a parlay addition with Emeev on my end. Looking at the bet, even though the value isn't great, plus 105, if you were going to prop it up, I like Emeev wins by decision the most here at that plus 105 money. I do think he'll win this fight by a decision. I think he's going to outclass Danny Roberts in all aspects. Really, Roberts' best shot is going to be a massive knockout, but I don't think the likelihood is that high for that to be plus 570, but not expecting it. I think this is going to be an Emeev dominant performance, win by unanimous decision. I like that minus 278 tag if you can get it and potentially parlay that up, because you can also find them obviously more so in that minus 315, minus 320 range. Now, the next of our locks of the night, striking phenom, Ludovit Klein. I think he beats Nate Landwehr here. I think he knocks him out. Nate's been knocked out in both of his UFC losses. Decent win against Darren Elkins, but Ludovit Klein's striking game is another level. With a guy like Landwehr who likes to bang, I think he's going to get cracked here, and I think he gets stopped. Klein wins by KO TKO, those minus 105, so it's already expected he does that. For some better plus money, let's see what's available. Under 2.5, minus 140. Under 1.5, plus 115. I like under 2.5 more so at the minus 140 tag. And I like Ludovit Klein, minus 325. Parlay edition type of thing. Straight bet, too, if you're throwing a good amount down. Ludovit Klein, lock of the night. Should knock out Nate Landwehr in this fight. Now, the next one will be Julian Marquez, who fights Jordan Wright, the Beverly Hills Ninja. I think this one makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of you are going to have Marquez as a fair lock. Minus 239. Now, how does he win it, though? With a guy like Wright, who, even though only one official loss, both of his losses that happened in the cage, he got knocked out. Marquez, good grappling game, decent striking, definitely has knockout power. But the inside the distance, they already got at that favorite money. Minus 120, Marquez inside the distance, most likely outcome. Minus 239 for Marquez to win it straight. Another one you could parlay up. If I had to pick between the two, I think I go Marquez TKO plus 250, but there's definitely a shot of a submission at that plus 225 tag. I really see a clear path to victory for Marquez here. Unless he gets caught doing something stupid, Wright gets the loss. And if Wright did win, it's a plus 500 tag for him by knockout, but I think Marquez should put it on him. Minus 239 favorite. Got Julian Marquez here, one of the locks of the night. And the final lock of the night for the UFC, Manon Fiorot, minus 225, plus 207 on the opposite side for Bueno Silva. I like Fiorot. I like Fiorot wins by KO TKO. I think it's high likelihood. I think she's going to put it on Silva. Plus 185 for Fiorot KO TKO. She'd be the girl to do it. Hot prospect on the rise. I see her getting the win here. Manon Fiorot, lock of the night. And my favorite prop for her is that plus 185 tag. Because it's women's MMA, maybe this is not one you parlay up and you just moneyline bet it or you play a prop on it. Because obviously women's MMA has just some chaotic things that happen more so than men's MMA. But let's jump over to Bellator and talk about some locks there. If you guys haven't, smash that like button. Okay, so first I will mention a couple of things. With some of the early night locks, the value is disgusting and their experience level isn't all that great. Jalen Bates is a lock at minus 578. Lance Gibson Jr. is a lock at minus 427. High likelihood of these guys winning the bouts, but not great value, and they don't have enough pro fights that I really feel extreme confidence to put a good amount on them, especially, you know, with how much you have to put down for the 100 back at you. So those are locks, but not necessarily the best value locks. The ones that we will talk about, the locks more towards the main card. The first one, it's going to be Nick Brown over Bobby Lee. I like Nick Brown's style, and I think it matches up well versus Bobby. Bobby Lee's been a guy that I've actually picked as a dog in the past, and I do actually think he has a good game, but this is just a really hard matchup. You got a guy who I think can outstrike him and out-wrestle him, and he's taller. Brown all day here, gets the win. I do think possibly decision, but right now, they don't really have all of those props released. Potentially we'll have that for the weigh-in recap show for Bellator, so make sure to tune into that. If not, Nick Brown straight around the -300 tag is pretty solid of a bet. Now, the next of our Bellator locks of the night, we got to jump to the main event. Vadim Nemkov. Value is not good, but I do think he wins. We have to jump inside of the prop side as Nemkov KO TKO is +110. Likelihood of that is high at +110. I think Nemkov will win by KO TKO. And Glika's best bet to win this fight is a grinding performance. I don't think he can keep up that style. I don't think he can put it on Nemkov for 5 rounds. He can't compete in the striking. He doesn't have the speed. I think he gets stopped, and I like Anglikas. His best shot to win would be potentially a decision, but I think that's unlikely. Submission would be +800, but Anglikas is not a finisher. Most of his fights, he wins by decision, at least at the highest level of the game. In Bellator and Dana White's Contender Series, wins by decision. And that's why he didn't actually end up getting signed to the UFC. More so just that pressure-heavy style against the cage, you're looking to control. Nemkov, KO TKO, Bellator lock of the night. I think Sullivan Cauley is another lock, but it's kind of in that similar situation where I don't want to tell you to throw all your money at it simply because lesser experienced guy. Just one pro bout, but I really think high likelihood he beats Dion Clash. Samuko Inaba, similar thing. I think she's a lock, but issue would be that experience level professionally. And I also will say, I think it's high likelihood of a Corey Anderson win and Carl Albrechtsen. They're very near locks, I would say, for the event. Anderson, reason that would hold me back from an official lock, potentially he gets cracked on the chin and slept. Albrechtsen, you know what? I'm going to call Albrechtsen a lock, but he is the last one we'll mention. But I still think he is a lock. I really think he beats Dovletz on Yagshiromadov, and I think probably wins by a decision. Looking at the prop bets, I know there's just the fight goes the distance one. It's plus money for that, and I think this fight probably does go the distance. So something interesting potentially brewing there. But let's jump back to the UFC. We'll talk about some UFC dogs, and then we'll jump back to Bellator to finish out the dog portion. Now, UFC dogs of the night. My first one is going to be Brandon Davis over Dana Batergol. This is a guy that's had close fights versus high-level guys in the UFC. Split decision loss to Giga Chikadze. He's a +155 underdog. I got Brandon Davis. I think it's a great money line bet. If you feel the need to prop it up, you have to. I think more so Davis wins by decision at +310. Could he beat Batergol by knockout? Yes, but if I had to pick one, it'd be that +310 tag for Davis wins by decision. But I'd rather play him straight at that plus money. I like Brandon Davis underdog for the UFC, the first one. Now, the next going to be towards the top of the card. Andre the Pitbull Arlovski is truly a near money underdog. It's +102. It's more of a pick'ems. I think Arlovski wins, but there's a bet that can get us some returns back. Potentially, Arlovski wins by decision because that's how he tends to win his fights. Arlovski by decision, +200 at best value. At lower end, you find it at +175, +135. But if you can find towards +200, I like Arlovski. And I do think he gets it done by a decision here. Fight goes the distance, highly likely. That's around -175, -163 at best value for fight going the distance. I like Arlovski here. Win by decision. Now, the next of our dogs of the night for UFC. It's going to be, I guess you could call it a lesser confident one. It's women's MMA. That's why it's the final. It is Ariane Carnelossi against Estela Nunes. I think Nunes can outstrike her and win a decision. I think she could put it on her. Her kickboxing is superior. I just worried about her getting overwhelmed. I pick her to win the fight, but it's a close one and it's a difficult one. Underdog that I like, though, +137. I don't really like any of the props here. Maybe over 1.5, but the value isn't really worth it. If if Nunes were to win against Carnelossi, Nunes wins by decision +240 maybe, but not loving it. Wouldn't bet that prop. Personally, if you wanted to play it, you'd be taking a risk, but it would be an underdog play at +137 rather than playing any props with that fight. But let's jump back to Bellator and give you guys some dogs over there. Of course, Bellator, the prelims have super widespread favorites. One of them may lose. There's definitely a shot at that. But hard to pick which one it would be because there are a lot of mismatches on this card. And even when you jump to the main card, the most valuable underdog for me is Vladislav Podobachenko. That's who I like. I think that he wins against Henry Corrales, but he's more of a even money dog at this point, plus 103 at best value. I think Slav wins, and I do think Slav wins by a decision. Could put it on Corrales, though, and stop him. So I wouldn't be betting the decision. I'd more money line play Slav. Looking at it, Podobachenko, KO TKO, that's plus 1100. But potentially Podobachenko submission. What's the value for that? Plus 500. Not bad. Podobachenko by submission or Podobachenko wins by decision, plus 185. Either of those are decent ones. I think there's likelihood of decision or submission. Corrales, older guy at this point. He definitely seems to be aging in his fights. Bad loss to Cupcakes Campbell's in the last one. I think he loses here to Vladislav Podobachenko. Now, the final dog for Bellator is, again, a close money dog. Plus 103, Brent Primus. I like him to win this fight. I do think decision, though. I think this fight probably goes to 3 rounds. Hard matchup for both men. Plus 245 decision. If somehow he got a submission, that would be crazy. That would be plus 450, but I feel more confident in the decision at plus 245 Primus. I do think he beats Benson Henderson. Other dogs, potentially could have a chance. I mean, Ryan Bader's got power in his hands. He could knock out Corey, but Corey's looked to have turned a corner and just totally stepped his game up through the roof. So I don't really feel like it'd be worth the bet. Mukhmad Bakhmanov and Jaleel Willis. Willis has definitely a fighting shot here at plus 155 if that's something you're looking to bet down. But those are the Bellator and UFC dogs. As far as value betting wise, potentially could play like a Jim Miller wins by submission. Let's see what that's at. Miller wins by submission. Look at that. Plus 280. I think that's great value. I think Jim Miller probably will get a sub here. Arlovsky and Philippe, we talked about it, potentially goes the distance. Lad Dumont. Let's see the over-unders. I want to check if over 2.5 has value. Over 2.5 somehow is at plus 170 at Bovada. That could be incorrect. Minus 190, more like it. And I do think likely to be over 2.5 for those girls. Overall, if we look through both value betting wise, be cautious, bet smart with the props. I gave you guys the ones that I like the most for all the locks and the dogs of the night. Overall, that's probably where my bets would stand as far as if I'm throwing a good amount down. I'm trying to see if anything's like popping out at the page to me, but really not. I think that's it for the value bets and the locks and the dogs. But I know what you guys are here for. A lot of you guys are here for the cross play. The cross parlay is the parlay for you and me. Let's get into these cross parlays, man. I'm excited. I always get pumped when I get to see them. So who am I liking the most? Well, I'm going to give my locks, first touch. And we're going to go Emeev from the UFC. If we can find them here. Go minus 280 Emeev. And let's play Emeev with somebody I feel that good confidence in. Honestly, I feel like you got to go Champ Nemkov. That'd probably be your smartest move. Do I want to take a risk and maybe play it with Jalon Bates on there? Not really. Not for the value. I was also thinking potentially Nick Brown, but plus 111. Less of the confidence. Carl Brexen would be a guy potentially we add. Brexen, Nemkov, Emeev. But let's just keep it at 2. This cross play, Emeev, Nemkov, is a beautiful one. If you want to jump back and add some more guys from the UFC, I'm liking, a potential play. It could be Ludovic Klein, brings you to plus 108. If you're feeling that confidence, maybe you also add in Brandon Davis as a dog, plus 423. And you know what? This just came to me. Bruno Silva, Andrew Sanchez. This is going to be for the people that stay for that cross parlay. You're going to know the KO TKO prop for Silva, plus 145. That's actually a value bet that I like because I think Silva is going to knock him out. Plus 108 for this one, Klein, Nemkov, Emeev. I think we all can agree that's probably a high likelihood hitter. Let's see what else we can do here. Maybe we take Davis, right? And then we also potentially just go a little nuts and we add Arlovsky, Philippe. If you can do fight goes the distance, that'd be plus 750. Obviously, I'm liking betting more so on the UFC side than Bellator. Obviously there's some strong favorites in Bellator, but the value's ugly. The odds aren't great looking. Not really super high likelihood of all of them winning. So to just go throw down on that would be dumb of me to recommend it, and I'm not going to do so. If I had to add somebody else from Bellator, potentially a Brexon, we could add him in. Sullivan Cauley, I'm very confident in, even though not a super experienced fighter. So it'd go against my rules to do so. Nick Brown plus 587. Amiv, Nemkov, Klein, Davis, Brown. Potential play there. I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to take Davis off as well. Amiv, Nemkov, Klein. That's something that I'm liking a lot. Also, Julian Marquez. If we wanted to take Klein off and go Marquez, you're still getting great money, plus 125. You want to keep Klein on, plus 191. Don't go too nuts with the parlays, though. 3-4 fighter max is kind of my rule. Realistically, money line bets are where you're going to make the most money. But, obviously parlays, if you hit that knockout shot, you can make a ton back at the moment. But if you're thinking long-term betting, more so money line bets, over-unders and whatnot. Some good money to be made on the card, though. I'm excited for UFC and Bellator. We'll do a fight companion for Bellator, and obviously I'll be giving you guys those UFC live updates. Weigh-in recaps coming out after the weigh-ins for both. So lots of exciting things. So keep it locked in here at MMA Experts. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you are new to the channel, and turn on those post notifications too. Much love, everybody, and I really appreciate you guys for tuning into the show. And I'll see you all in the next video. Peace, guys.